It certainly is a war on for your mind, going back to your phone calls, and I'm going to get into what's happening in the Korean Peninsula, not just Iran, and the larger chessboard. We've talked about Iran the last 30 minutes or so. Now I'm going to get into what's happening in Korea, and this ship that's going to be intercepted by the John McCain Sr., or I guess John McCain II, the father of John McCain, the senator, the recent Republican presidential candidate, going to intercept the ship. And North Korea says, if you mess with our ship, we're going to launch nuclear weapons. And their history is they may do it. And then the globalists don't have to stage a terror attack. Kim Jong-il will fire a nuke at Hawaii. I mean, there's no end to it. They're just poking the psychopath who's dying of cancer and had strokes, about to transfer power to his 23-year-old son. Another example of governments, of communists, of, hereditary power, just the corruption. I'm telling you, in 50 years, if this continues in the U.S. this bad, we'll have kings. I mean, that's what they do. That's what they set up. Okay, going back to Beverly in Georgia. Go ahead, Beverly.
Yeah. Oh, Alex, one other thing I wanted to tell you about. I was at a recent bluegrass festival in South Carolina. Met a young man by the name of Jesse who was just getting ready to be deployed to Afghanistan. I think this was going to be his second time there. And this kid he's just a kid. We were talking a little bit, and I asked him if he had ever heard of the Iraqi veterans that were against the war and some of the other groups, and about yourself, Ron Paul, and he wasn't. And as we were talking what little bits that he would talk to me, he looked at me and he had tears in his eyes, and he said, if you knew what I knew. And I said, what are you trying to tell me? Won't you tell me what you want, what's going on? He said, I never want to go back there. We don't need to be there. But I got to go. And I said, no, I don't think you got to go. I think you need to start looking at some of these groups that are standing up. And, I don't think he's the only one. I think a lot of these kids know that something is very wrong and they don't need to be there. And I really felt for that young man.
Well, God bless you. I appreciate your call. Let's talk your call now from John in Missouri. John, you're on the air.
Thank you for you and your people that are continuing to shine the light on all the cockroaches behind the curtain trying to control our lives.
We're trying our best, sir.
I'm a 54-year-old veteran, and when I was going through my training after boot camp, the Shaw had all his sailors and Army men going through training in the United States. There was 10,000 Iranian sailors going through Great Lakes Training Command when I was there myself, and I've met quite a few of them. And they're just like normal Joes. They just want to live a life peaceably, be profitable for their family. And I just want to put out a word to all the ex-hippies and veterans from my era that haven't been raised on fluoridated water and everything else that's trying to control our minds. Think about everything that's happened back from the time when you were protesting in the streets for what was going on in Vietnam. We don't need another Vietnam to happen. We screwed the Vietnamese people after World War II, and we're going to end up doing the same mistake with Iraq and now Iran. It's time to put a stop to this continuing revolving door that's taken away our liberties bit by bit. Time to focus on what the real problem is behind the curtain, and keep doing the good work. And we don't need to bomb Iran. We're not seeing the real story. We're only seeing what they're allowing us to see.
Absolutely, there's no doubt of that. They're admitting that these four terror groups, that three of them are Wahhabist or the Al Qaeda. Number 3 in Al Qaeda, the White House admits is commanded by the U.S. You can't make this type of craziness up. And they're targeting and killing and bombing the police to get the police to shoot at them. And, I mean, Iran has been very restrained. It's on record. Our government admits they've been staging terror attacks there, blowing up mosques, trying to get the Muslims all hyped up. And Iran has been overthrown so many times by the West, they've learned how to deal with this. And I'm not saying they're perfect either. That's the problem with government. It's all bad. North Korea, U.S., the mullahs, whatever. But it's clear the aggressor here is the West. And it's the same aggressor trying to take our rights, saying that Homeland Security thinks you're the number one threat, John. And
right, I know. I'm probably on a number of lists already.
In fact, I got a Missouri TV station reporting it like it's good and normal that anybody in the Constitution Party is a terrorist. That's coming up. I appreciate your call, and God bless you. This isn't our government. It would be bad enough if we were a tribal, racial country, to go in and murder some neighbors to take over their property. And that's what most cultures do. But at least there's a group mind of we only abuse and kill these neighbors. But once you have this global society, it's the elites against the people, and they have all these tricks to play us off. They're waging war. They're engaging in predator behavior on us. And we have to get out of this tribal mode of, yeah, we're killing that enemy over there that's brown, and realize, no, it's a scientific tyranny that's doing it to all of us together. And as long as we play along with the game of this tribalism, the globalists are going to keep winning. We have to get the big picture. And I'm going to go over that after some more calls coming up. Let's talk to Lou in Illinois. Lou, you're on the air.
Alex, thank you very much for taking my call today. I wanted to thank you for the vast amount of education that you're putting out there about this. And I finally got the guts up today to sign up for the TV thing, and I just signed up, and I'm really happy with it. And the vast amount of information on there, whether it's books, videos, articles, the things that you can learn on there, it's just amazing. I can't wait to just go in there and dedicate, 2 to 3 hours.
Well, let me be clear.
We
We would give prisonplanet.tv out for free, but just the bandwidth of all the sites and everything's over $20,000 a month in IT. It's a total of 30 with all the T1 lines and all that. So we spend all our time just trying to even have the money to pay for all this when I'd rather spend it on news and information. But that's how the world works. I'm not complaining. It just holds us back. That's why we had the money bombs. So we'd have to worry so much about this for another year. It supplements what we're doing. But that barely pays for the bandwidth alone. And so, yes, prisonplanet.tv memberships. But more importantly, the films are all in high quality, so you can burn them to disc, to CD, very easy point-and-click tools. It's an arsenal, an armory of info weapons, basically grenades in the info war, to go in there, burn all the films to disc, give them to people. Most new DVD players, have the different systems where they can play these that are burned. DivX and other things. So, yes, thank you. prisonplanet.tv. Go ahead.
Yes, and, what I'm doing is one of the things I've learned from you and what your message was and what I believe your message was to inform people, inform your friends, your neighbors, and I want to go about it in a way that I don't represent this like I'm a moron. And so what I'm doing is I'm studying hard at it. And my best friend is a Northwestern law graduate. Well, she's just getting her degree now. This girl is a genius. And I was talking to her about it, and I'm not as well educated, and I started talking to her. I said, you have to hear this guy. She heard you, and she just flipped out. She's like, this guy really is smart. And now she's telling all her friends at Northwestern, and it's kind of spread a little wildfire amongst her friends. And, I can't thank you enough. I really idolize what you're doing. And, it's given me a direction in my life as far as...
Well, let me just say this, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and finish, but don't idolize me. Idolize the successes I've had. Also learn from the mistakes I've made. That's why parents try to teach their kids something they've learned. It's not that they're high and mighty. They've been around longer. They've got the scars to prove it. They're trying to pass on by warning the children instead of them having to experience themselves. But when people think I'm so smart, I'm reading the globalist-owned documents. I source them on air. These arrogant people brag how they manipulate us. I'm like just giving you a TV guide report of what they say they're going to do. That's what's so outrageous about all this. But go ahead.
Yes, and the last thing is that I have friends of mine that are Polish descent. They're new to this country. They want to be good Americans. And when you go and you start talking this stuff to people, they either think you're nuts or they cannot understand it. And so I don't know, if this has been said before.
No. I'll tell you why the poll. Well, I mean, make your point. I'm going to tell you what's going on with the polls, but go ahead.
Yeah, a guide for, InfoWar for dummies. If it could be simplified, broken down, and give us, maybe someone could help write, and give people like me direction of how to get out there, how to go door to door in my free time and spread this information and get it going and get off our butts. We can sit here and we could say, yeah, I listen to Alex Jones, I know what's going on, but the doing of it, getting out there and doing it and informing these people.
No, I agree, but I mean, don't wait to inform people. You don't have to have some perfect handbook or have all the answers. It's almost better for you not to follow a handbook, because then the enemy can attack a handbook if our attack profile in the InfoWar is a unified, direct. It needs to be truly organic, truly real, but I appreciate your call. Let me explain what's happening with the polls.